After winning their independence in 1776, America went on a drunken bender from which they have yet to recover. Somewhere in that drunken haze, their eyes turned north. Canada, the girl next door. The two countries had so much in common. They both loved the outdoors, not being European and staying up past their bedtime. They even shared the same dad, Britain. But Canada was part French, so it totally wasn't weird. Heck, as a North American, Canada was American already. They just needed to make it official. In the year 1812, America couldn't take it anymore. They needed to know if Canada liked them too. Full of alcoholic courage, America asked Canada to remove the imaginary line between them, ditch Britain, and become America's servant instead. Canada said thanks, but no thanks. They were flattered to have drawn America's interest, but were going to stay with Britain. America was dumbfounded. Couldn't Canada see? Britain was literally the worst. They were old, crusty, and strict. All taxes, no representation. America, on the other hand, was young, hip, and full of freedom. So much freedom. With America, Canada could do anything, as long as they spoke American, looked American, and had money. To Britain, Canada was just one of many colonies, a side piece. But America would treat Canada with the respect it deserved as the second best nation on the continent. America considered itself a nice country. Sure, they had put on a bit of weight, and who hadn't fallen behind on their civil rights? But a country like Canada would be lucky to have a partner like America. Seeing no logical reason for rejection, America asked Canada to reconsider. Canada did, and said no. Again. Even the French Canadians weren't interested in a backroom deal. Yes, they hated Britain, but they loved to hate Britain, and wouldn't have it any other way. None of it made any sense. Who rejected freedom? Clearly, Canada wanted America. They were just too afraid to admit it. The United States, like a drunk, abusive father looking to bully his way into forgetting his childhood, grabbed Canada by the proverbial arm and tried to stuff the Constitution down Canada's throat. America declared war. Britain rushed to Canada's aid because they were family, but mostly to get revenge for America declaring independence. Then there were the French Canadians. Turning down America's offer was one thing, but fighting alongside the British? Surely hell would sooner freeze over. America prepared for battle by getting more drunk. They had whooped Britain's ass before, and Canada was just a wee little baby. Some might question the ethics of fighting a baby, but if Canada didn't want to be invaded, they shouldn't have had so many natural resources. As sure as their victory seemed, America took every precaution. They couldn't afford an army, so they didn't pay their soldiers. Canada was cold, so America declared war in the summer. Britain was already in a war with Napoleon, so America sent their thoughts and prayers to the French Emperor. Finally, America hired a focus group to better understand the enemy. They didn't find any actual Canadians, but the American actors all agreed. Deep down, Canada yearned to be conquered. They just lacked the freedom to say it. All America had to do was hop over the border, kick Britain between the legs, and plan the victory parade. To keep their buzz going, the Americans pub crawled their way north. Spirits were high, and blood alcohol levels were higher. They booked restaurant reservations in Toronto, and laughed the whole way. Surprisingly, things fell apart at the first sign of resistance. Despite their existing war with Napoleon, Britain was prepared to fight on two fronts. America's problems snowballed from there. Literally. Marching around North America took forever, and they got sucker punched by winter. Then, all of a sudden, a booze diet wasn't good enough for their soldiers, and they demanded actual pay too. To top it all off, the French broke history by fighting alongside the British for literally the first time ever. Hell had indeed frozen over, and its name was Canada. While these setbacks were unfortunate, they were only setbacks. The gloves came off, and the two sides traded blows like drunken monkeys. They fought on land and sea, but not the air because planes hadn't been invented yet. Forts were sieged, towns were raided, and the ground was stained red with blood. Worst of all, Steve's mom forgot to pack his lunch. The two sides seemed evenly matched, trading victories and defeats. That is until one fateful day. Canadian forces, led by Major General Ross, but more importantly, Admiral Cockburn, descended on Washington, D.C., and burned down the White House. The Americans claim they let it happen for insurance purposes. An obvious lie. Then they pretended it wasn't a big deal because America burned down Canada's legislative building first. While this is technically true, legislative building isn't even a proper noun. No one cares. With the White House no longer white, or a house, it was clear America couldn't win. They fought for a while longer to salvage a scrap of honor, but the war was over. A treaty was negotiated, and the war ended. Since America didn't conquer Canada, they didn't get Canada. And since Canada isn't an imperialistic dirtbag, they didn't take America. No one even thought to grab a token souvenir, like a t-shirt or one of those little spoons. To ensure each and every sacrifice was in vain, they returned to the way it was before the war. America learned a valuable lesson about invading other countries and would surely never make the same mistake again. They surely wouldn't take the embarrassment to heart, develop a military-industrial complex, and overcompensate by playing world police. Surely. As for Canada, the English and French looked down to find themselves holding hands, and quickly pulled away. They threw insults at each other and stomped off in opposite directions, but there was no denying something had changed. Whatever their relationship looked like moving forward, one thing was clear: they would never be American. To ensure their independence, Canada developed a secret defense program. Not much is known, other than it definitely doesn't involve Canada geese. Canada geese definitely weren't friendly before the War of 1812, and it's totally normal for them to migrate to the US for the winter. Their eyes aren't high-tech cameras, and their eggs are not explosive. There are no wireless antennas hidden in their tail feathers, and a powerful hive mind AI does not control their every move. Yup, it's a complete mystery.